Hi everyone, my name is Jill Crow. I am the Director of Relations for the Women's Health Clinic. This is going to be the first episode of many very exciting topics related to women's health, and it's about empowering her health, empowering us. We're going to be doing is supporting women through every stage of life. We're going to provide trusted guidance, thoughtful care, and a focus on empowerment. Each episode is designed to help you take an active role in your health journey with insights from experts or clients, different walks of life, and understand what matters to you most. And we're really glad you're here. My first lovely guest today is Hazel Nathaniel James, who is the director of a company called An Examined Life. Also, Hazel is a wonderful client of ours who has gone through her own journey of life and is now finding her voice and is in that beautiful stage of life in an amazing chapter of a life book. So over to you, just a little bit about what you do in that job you're and your journey from beginning to end to the Women's Health Clinic.
Thank you so much, Jill. So I'm Hazel Nathaniel James. What I do is I do development coaching. I develop individuals. I support teams. I support leadership. My background is in corporate HR, human resources. So I had a real front row seat at watching the human condition in workplaces. But having been through the menopause myself and having obviously I've never been there before, but it's fascinating to watch how organizations help women or not within organizations. And so the other thing that I coach around as part of development coaching is the power of difficult conversations, helping menopausal women use the power of their voice to step into that chapter of their life and be who they want to be. And having been through the menopause myself, I then entered into a relationship after having been single for many years, and somewhat a little bit embarrassing to say, but I wanted to know how my body parts were going to be in terms of enjoying intimacy in the new relationship. And that was one of the main reasons why I went. I also had dry mouth and things like that. So I wanted a clinic who I knew could really help me. And as much as I'm not particularly shy, I wanted my experts to be female so that they would understand exactly what I was going through. And having done my research, I found the Women's Health Clinic. And I can say that I very happily engaged their services and really enjoyed how they have been with me, having experts with female experts who know their stuff guide and help me and in many ways nourish me towards being the kind of woman I want to be, having been through menopause. And it's quite interesting that although I work with individuals on communication and confidence, I realized that having been to that clinic, how much it helped me to communicate my needs in a relationship and how it gave me confidence to navigate it going forward. So yes, that's what brought me as a client.
When menopause arrives, or even before, even becoming a new mom, even just different stages of life, you can lose your identity and who you are. And it's taken that time out into something like this to empower yourself and take that time to go, I need me time now. Who am I? Because we get lost in a busy world, don't we? We get lost in a busy world, work, family, commitments, just life itself. And taking that time like you have
Mm.
is empowering yourself to say, right, it's about me now. And when do we often get that time?
Yes, and the one thing I well it I place myself under the microscope having been to the clinic because I did wonder to myself if I do development coaching as my career and I work with teams and I work with leadership and I felt to myself if I was feeling that way, how are other people feeling who do not have 10% of the skills that I have that helps me navigate that part of my life. And if I was feeling that way, how are other people feeling? And it's been really quite an interesting journey to widen my lenses, shall we say, in terms of thinking about how other people may be navigating that chapter of their life and what does that mean for their identity. Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. And I think the work that you do in an examined life, I think it's pivotal to women who are working, who are in management, who are in any role at all, but also it fits with this podcast in empowering your health, but in that includes body and mind as well. So as I was discussing with you, we can develop an emotional support and resilience service, which is going to be up and coming, which will be our next podcast. And having coaching and having self-confidence in yourself get your identity back, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. I think sometimes, not sometimes, every time we have to be reminded of our purpose, what we're here for, what we're here to do. Do I like what I'm doing? Because one of the things I find that this new chapter brings is how many questions it makes you ask yourself. Because as the physical, I guess, mental and psychological changes are happening, I mean, purpose is very, very linked to identity. Who am I now? Who am I now? And if I can no longer have children or enjoy being intimate with my husband, and I'm so ratty all the time, and I'm probably not even being a good best friend, who am I now? This thing has completely changed how I look at life. It changed my patience. I find me being impatient with myself, and I'm being impatient with myself. Therefore, I'm being impatient with the world. I'm being impatient with my kids. My partner probably can't stand me because of all the changes that have taken place within me. And no doubt about it, because we're asking ourselves questions about what does this mean about me? Who am I now? For sure, when you're asking who am I now, that brings in an aspect of if if I'm questioning who I am, where is my level of confidence?
Absolutely. And if you're recognizing it in yourself, you know, it's like I think what impact is that having on friends, family? And it's about having them open conversations as well. Because when menopause hits, like I said, even after having a child, the shift in hormones, if you don't openly talk to friends, family about how you're feeling, interpretations, prejudgments about why you are like you are and these changes are happening can affect relationships badly, absolutely badly. You know, we get many women coming in who says, my husband just thinks I don't love him anymore. He thinks I don't find him attractive anymore. But children keep away from me and they don't know why. So having them open conversations of why you're feeling like this, a support network is pivotal, absolutely pivotal. And then not just on top of that, the psychological changes, like you said, it's the physical changes and the things that the bottom of the iceberg that nobody talks about, the vaginal dryness.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, the changes in your skin, hair loss,
Yes.
you know, loss of libido, you know, got no sex drive all of a sudden. Husband's like, hi, my partner's like, well, why? You know, uh, and that takes away, one, it makes you frustrated because you know why.
Yes.
They don't know why, but you're thinking just leave me alone. I'm going through enough. If you don't talk about and explain, or talk to someone else, which we get many ladies who their first point of contact in opening up about menopause or their intimate vaginal health is the women's health clinic. That's the first conversation they ever had. And I have many ladies now who, after speaking to us, will go away and have that conversation with the partner. They'll go away and have that conversation with the partner. They'll go away and have that conversation with, family, friends. And when they come back and they're booking for treatment, they're like, that was the first step. And so with all that in mind, what was your driver? What point did you think, I need to do something? And you approached the Women's Health Clinic.
Do you know what? My daughter's a performer, so she's very much aware of her body. And of course, she's a pretty young thing. And I look at her walking around and she's so totally confident about her body. And I, I, I remember saying to her that I'm thinking of going to a clinic because I noticed that when I went to the gym, or if I even sneezed really heavily, that I'd get some leakage. And I mean, I have one sister and I have a best friend. I wasn't even talking to them about that because
Yep.
it just feels you've never been there before. And it feels really weird and odd and hugely personal to speak about the fact that when you sneeze, you wet yourself. And yeah, I mean, my daughter asked me, she says, Mom, do you ever take the mirror and look down there? And
Was
I
your
said,
response?
I cannot remember the last time I did that. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, and then she said, so my coach in many ways was my daughter. She says, but it's your body. And I'm like,
You own it, right?
and I'm like, I'm not sure. I want to see. So yeah, I mean, a light bulb went off. I thought to myself, oh my God, am I beginning to not love the body I'm in? And what does that mean for me? Because if I don't love the body I'm in, what does that mean for attracting a potential partner? And of course, I was single at the time. And these are all things I've sort of, you give your children, you say things to your kids, and it's almost as if they hold them in store and then they tell it to you
Mm-hmm.
later on. They tell you
Mm-hmm.
later on, they've been holding this thing you told them ages ago. Because of course I encourage self-confidence. I encourage body positivity. Because when my daughter was a teenager, I didn't want her to be one of those kids who just lived on lettuce and didn't love her body, and then we'd have problems with other issues. But so yeah, so all the things I was telling her, she was now telling me. She said, "Well, you have to love your body." She says, "It gave you two kids, and it's done amazing things. It continues to do amazing things, and all those people you're coaching, Mum, you really should be coaching yourself." That was really so.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, "Well, here we go. I need to do some research and find a clinic."
Yeah.
And of
And the thing
course,
is, what that is that, you didn't want to look because you were frightened what you were going to say.
yes,
And I think, if if somebody knew they had kind of laxity, and it didn't bother them, and
yes,
this is what our ethos is really as the Women's Health Clinic and me as a person is everybody's an individual. Everybody has to be happy with themselves, and what to one person, what a body image looks like
yes,
may not be what someone else's body image looks like.
yes,
So it's about personal preference and choice, and
and
that is
that is
what
what.
I maintain and what I speak to my ladies about is what works for one lady doesn't work for another lady. What is someone's preference is not another one's preference. It's about personal love and personal belonging and personal love for yourself.
Yeah, it's what you're comfortable with, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, because some people are happily, like say for example, Andy McDowell, she was in Four Weddings and a Funeral. She's got long bubbly hair and she's allowed it all to go grey. She says, I'm not going to
Mm,
color my hair
well,
that
mm,
was so much that gave me I can't tell you what her words did for me. I thought to myself, this is somebody who is embracing herself. So that's the other thing. I started looking for people who were speaking empowering words in terms of embracing themselves. And because sometimes you never know what somebody else's words can do for you. And when she said that, because people were like, well, she's so beautiful, they expected to still look like she was in Four Weddings and a Funeral. And she's kept her long bubbly hair, but it's now grey. And she looks so magnificent. And I thought, do you know what? This is somebody who has really embraced herself. She's embracing that chapter of her life. She loves how she looks and the changes that are happening for
mm,
her. And I thought, I embrace most of what I look like, but I'm not willing to embrace the discomfort of sneezing and wetting myself. And of course, because I did some research around it, I could, I knew I needed to do more pelvic floor exercise, and I thought, well, what if there was a clinic that can help make my pelvic floor stronger, so that, I mean, this is a warning. My body is saying to me something is not quite right. It's not at the level it should be. That's why when you sneeze or laugh or are you pushing
mm,
hard at the gym, you there is some leakage. And so I thought to myself, well, whilst I'm happy to embrace my grays, I realized that watching other middle-aged and over women who embrace themselves gave me the confidence to embrace myself. I mean, we need each other, right? And sometimes you need to hear a wise woman say something that can inspire you. So I started to look for that. And I thought, well, there are some things that I absolutely, my gray hairs and my laughter lines are signs that I've lived. And I'm happy with that
absolutely.
chapter of my life. I'm not going to try and look like someone I'm not. But in terms of my sneezing and wetting myself, that's a health issue. And I needed to find a clinic that would help me because for years I've done my Kegel exercises, but that didn't seem to help. And I've since educated myself a bit more that the loss of collagen means that, your pelvic floor isn't so strong. And it's about educating myself around it and, having spoken to the nurses at the clinic and yourself and did a little bit more research, I realized that it truly isn't our fault. It's just our body changing. And there's nothing wrong in seeking help for the parts of your body that are changing. Because this might sound funny. I didn't want to wear tenor ladies.
Mm. And again, it's like, you know, some ladies go for aesthetics
Yes.
to,
Do
you
the
know,
lines.
they don't like the lines, like got thin lips, they don't like that. The collagen is making everything a bit looser. And again, personal preference and whatever makes you feel good and better. And I think one of the important things to remember is, as we do become more wrinkly, we do become more dry skin.
Yes.
Everything sags a little bit more
Yeah.
because of the lack of and the aging process. However, what people don't see is the internal. So you can get prolapses, you know, internally, everything, your collagen can drop as well. So that's when you get prolapses. You'll get giant walls come looser. The laxity within labia, the external, and that can become as much as you can get, wrinkles and you can get loose skin externally, you can get
Yes.
in the intimate vaginal health area as well. And, you
Because
know,
because
things
we're aging everywhere.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. And my view is that if the expertise exists to enable us to continue in a near normal, if not normal manner, with regards to our intimate life, where we can continue to be intimate with our partner, where we can continue to enjoy sex. I mean, I'm not aware that there is any age that has been scientifically proven where you should stop being intimate. I'm not
Again,
aware of.
absolutely. As long as enjoyment and intimate health is still enjoyable for you,
Of
when it
course.
stops becoming enjoyable for you, then that's when, like you say, you take control, empower yourself. You don't do it for your partner. You're not doing it for your partner. Some ladies do it for their partners, but
Yes.
ideally, you do it for you. You feel good.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that is the important message. It's about you feeling good about you. So obviously you came to us, Hazel, and been using many discussions, which I wish I'd recorded because they were fantastic discussions, and there'll be many more. So obviously you came to us, and we had a discussion and you were debating, do I get a treatment, do I not? And then you went and had a treatment. What was your experience?
So I would say the thing that struck me, obviously, it's an all-female clinic. So the people that you meet understand, and I wanted understanding in a way that a man wouldn't. So this is not for bashing men. So I met the nurse, and we had an hour-long discussion before I had my treatment. She got to understand all my little worries, and bigger worries. But I'd like to think that I've come at a point isn't so it's not at the level of extreme help required. So I think it's really good once you see the signs that you may not be comfortable with to go do something about it. But everyone's different. The level of kindness and compassion is really important. And Gaynor, the nurse who saw, was just, yeah, she's overflowing with that. She explained to me, she showed me a presentation that explained to me the treatment I was going to have, how it was likely to feel. And I believe she may have had it herself. And she put me completely at ease and told me how long it was going to be. So, in actual fact, my meditation came in handy, because, like anything worth doing, sometimes it challenges you physically. But having had two normal births, that was next to nothing in terms of discomfort. Gaynor is very, very knowledgeable about what she's doing. She showed me all the equipment, explained what it does, why it does what it does, how I'm likely to feel afterwards. Have service, and if it wasn't for the fact that I have to have my 6 weeks apart, I'd have been back the next week.
That's
Afterwards,
amazing.
I felt a little bit sore. I think I understand that's perfectly normal, but that was only for maybe about 3 days. And I've been observing myself ever since in terms of the sneezing, being at the gym and how I feel and so on and so forth. I do think I look different. I don't know if it's because I want to look different. Mm, I think we had a conversation, Jill, where I described myself as feeling very juicy.
You did. You did. And it
I,
was the best
and
I've ever heard in all my years.
description. And yeah, I think, and I remember thinking,
It's a wonderful description.
my God, for somebody who's in his sixth decade, to feel juicy, that is really quite a thing. And I look forward to continuing to feel like that. Long may juicy reign.
I will never ever forget that as long as I live. It is the best. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, I have absolutely no regrets at all. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling now then? How many weeks post first treatment are you?
It's
Two,
probably
2 or 3 weeks?
maybe about 3 weeks now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel I feel perfectly normal. I mean, the fact that I had the new V treatment. The laser is used on the internal organs as well as your labia lips. Of course, as somebody who loves evidence, I have been looking to see how different this thing is. And yeah, I feel very much, it feels very much like everything's plumper, hence my description juice. And yeah, I mean, there is absolutely no dryness whatsoever. In fact, I think, things have improved in that area, and it's just, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why did I take so long?
Yeah.
So
Because it's
yes,
about your own time, isn't it? I think that's the most important thing. It's about doing things in your own time. It's about your own self-reflection, which you're very good at. It's your job. It's about your confidence, it's about meditation. It's about,
yes,
and I think that's the message to get out there. And I think following up from this is going to be I'm not a planner. I'm a very last minute person. And with these podcasts, I was thinking, right, I'm going to have this topic this topic this week. And I think after doing this podcast, which Hazel, you're an amazing, wonderful, you make me shine, you really do. And then I think I'm feeling now that the topics for the next one should be more around self-care. So my next one was going to be about full-on menopause. We are going to get one of the menopause nurses to come. But I think before any of that, after speaking to you, and I'm very self-aware myself, I'm very into mental health. I teach mental health. I'm thinking our next podcast should be around self-awareness and
yes. And
mental
I think giving yourself
health.
permission to be fully in your chapter.
Absolutely.
Don't stand outside your chapter. That's my view. Do not stand outside your chapter looking in at where you could be. If life decides that's where you are at, and I think it's a privilege to age, it's a privilege to age. And I feel very blessed that science has given us all these things to enjoy the aging process.
Absolutely. And it's
And,
embracing.
and the women's health, yes, the women's health clinic is part of that.
Yeah. And I
It
think
enables us,
embracing
it
that.
enables us to stand in our chapter. Sorry to talk over you. It
No,
enables
no,
us to stand in our chapter fully, whilst other clinics bring, solutions or not looking your age and wanting to look 20 years younger. Well, looking at our more intimate aspect of our life, we can, there are things that can enable us to feel 20 years younger. And truly, I feel like I'm in my 40s. Seriously.
exactly. It doesn't have to be that visual. It doesn't have to be that visual. It's about feeling good about yourself, no matter what you look like, no matter how your body is. If you're happy with the body you live in, no matter what it is, no matter what it is, then you will have self-confidence, you have self-esteem, and you'll be happy in yourself. And I think as women, again, in our busy lives, we don't take that time out to go, I'll just say, right, my partner's happy, the house is happy, I'm doing well at my job, the kids are happy, I'm looking after a family member, they're happy. By the time you've done all that, when do you have the time to say, am I happy? Am I happy?
Truly.
Am I happy with
And
me?
yes,
Because you don't take the time. I think what these podcasts aim I want to do, and again, I think as I talk, I want these to give women the time to say, right, I'm going to go and watch that podcast. What do I need to do? What do I need to do to love myself? And what is it about me? Am I happy with everything? Am I happy with my mindset? Am I happy with my emotional resilience? Am I happy with who I am, what I am? Struggling with menopause? Am I struggling in accepting the changes to my intimate health? Is any changes to my hair? Because menopause, hair can start thinning. You get skin changes, and I think
a
women's health,
lot.
we can treat all of that. But my
Yes.
I think podcast in one liner is basically we're holistic in the mind and body. we're not just treating, you know, the physical changes during menopause, the physical changes after having a child, the physical changes of aging. We want to support that with the emotional and the mind changes as well. That goes with that. And I think
Totally.
with physical
And the
change,
practices.
with the
Yes.
psychological changes, it's hard to recognize because your mind's always busy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's a mind, body, spirit thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
because that is what we are. We don't just experience life at the level of the body. The body, the body allows us to be here. It's a physical thing that everybody can see. But what people cannot see unless we act out is the mind bit, and our spirit often feels depleted because for some reason in Western society, getting older is seen as not a good thing, by society. Hence why things like Botox and other things. No, I'm not having a go at those things. There seems to be an epidemic of treatments that can allow you to look many years younger, but if you do not feel good inside, if you're not able to concentrate, if you have no confidence, all the things that are drivers of your life, what is the point of looking 20, 30 years younger and you literally are dying inside? It doesn't make sense to me.
Isn't it? And just taking medication to mask that headache. You need
Yes,
the bottom of why them headaches are constantly happening. That,
totally. You need to get to the source of things.
yeah, yeah.
You need to get to the source, and talk about source for so long, for generations and generations and generations. And I think it's possibly changing now, which is why they're talking about the male loneliness epidemic. But what has happened is that women have worn so many hats in their relationship: the best friend, the mum, the psychologist, the the chef. We wear at least 10 hats in the household, and we do most of the caring of our elderly parents, of our husbands, of our partners, of our children. And for good or bad, we are almost always the backbone of our families. And whilst everyone is leaning on us, what generally happens is that because we present as strong, no one asks, who are we leaning on? And I hope this can be a space where women can feel they can lean for
And
mind, for body, for spirit. Because for too long, we've had nowhere where we can lean while the world leans on us.
it's historical, isn't it? It's historical that that's what happens. And
Yes,
you're right. I
yes,
think as a final word is this is a safe space
yes. This is the safe, to me. It's an incredibly safe space. We can make it that.
to make it real and what this
Make
is real. This is real life, real chapters of life books. And final word, just finding your voice and being having your voice heard. So on that note, thank you, Hazel. Thank you. I'm sure we are going to be on. We are going to be on more podcasts. I think if anything has reflected with you on the topics in podcast, there'll be a link for you to click into the Women's Health Clinic. You can have a call with myself, Hazel, and we're here to support you always. So I was looking forward to our next episode. I think we will embrace on the mind and getting into the right mind
Yes.
space and recognizing yourself. Right, you take some time out. I'm happy within my mind and my body. Um, and we do have some posts out there to support that as well. So thank you, Hazel. I'm going to say my
Thank you for
goodbye.
having me.
Good to seeing you
Thank.
again. Love to love.
Okay. Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye.